Charles Darwin is often described as the gentle detective of nature, a man whose curiosity unraveled secrets woven into feathers, shells, fossils, and every creature that scurried beneath the sun. He was born in 1809 in the quiet town of Shrewsbury, England, where rolling hills, whispering rivers, and endless green fields filled his childhood with wonder. As a boy, Darwin collected beetles with fierce determination, sometimes stuffing so many into his pockets that they escaped during dinner and caused delightful chaos. He loved long walks through forests where sunlight dripped through the branches like golden honey and every rustling leaf felt like a clue waiting to be discovered. Darwin spent countless hours observing birds, insects, worms, and anything that moved, staring with such intensity that even the animals looked unsure about who was studying whom. He had a natural curiosity that bubbled like a shaken soda bottle, exploding into questions about why animals looked the way they did and how life became so wonderfully diverse. Darwin preferred exploring muddy fields to sitting still in a classroom, often sneaking out to watch birds hop across hedges like tiny feathery acrobats. When he grew older, he studied medicine and science, although he sometimes fainted at the sight of surgeries and quickly decided that the world of nature was a safer calling. His life changed forever when he received an invitation to join the HMS Beagle, a ship preparing to sail around the world in search of new lands and discoveries. Darwin stepped on board with a heart full of excitement, the scent of salt in the air, and the creaking ship promising adventures beyond the edge of every map he had ever seen. During storms, the Beagle rocked so wildly that Darwin's notebooks slid across the cabin like tiny rebellious sleds racing across the floor. Despite seasickness that made him look greener than seaweed, he scribbled observations, sketched strange creatures, and collected samples that filled crates and jars. He marveled at dolphins dancing alongside the ship and glowing plankton that turned the waves into sparkling trails of underwater stars. When he arrived at the Galapagos Islands, he felt as though he had stepped into a laboratory built by nature itself, full of bizarre creatures shaped by volcanic wines and ancient mysteries. He watched giant tortoises lumber across black volcanic rocks like living tanks, their shells scratched with stories older than any human memory. Darwin noticed that finches on each island had different beaks, some long and sharp, others short and strong, as if nature had designed them for different culinary adventures. He crouched in the warm island breeze, surrounded by curious lizards and mockingbirds that hopped closer, as if trying to peek into his journal. Every discovery felt like a puzzle piece, and Darwin tucked each one into the treasure chest of his mind, storing questions that glowed like tiny lanterns. He collected bones, feathers, shells, and specimens until his cabin looked like a miniature museum that smelled faintly of seawater and adventure. During quiet nights on deck, he gazed at skies overflowing with stars, wondering how all the living things on Earth had come to be so perfectly suited to their homes. When the Beagle returned to England years later, Darwin brought back crates of samples and a brain buzzing louder than a hive full of bees. He settled into a gentle, thoughtful life, turning his home into a messy laboratory filled with jars, sketches, strange stones, and insect collections that fascinated and confused visitors. Darwin paced around his studies so much that he practically carved a path into the wooden floor, muttering theories and rearranging notes in towering stacks. He studied pigeons with the seriousness of a detective, observing how breeding changed their feathers, shapes, and colors in ways that hinted at something bigger. Darwin examined barnacles for years, sometimes joking that he knew more about barnacle anatomy than barnacles themselves. He created diagrams, charts, and notes that multiplied like rabbits, filling drawers, shelves, and boxes with evidence that life changed slowly over time. The idea of evolution sprouted in his mind like a seed, growing roots, branches, and leaves until it became a towering tree of understanding. He realized that tiny differences passed down through generations could shape entire species, slowly transforming them to survive in their environments. This idea, which he called natural selection, felt like a powerful lens that suddenly brought the blurry picture of life into crystal clear focus. When he wrote on the origin of species, He poured decades of curiosity into pages that explained how life changed, adapted, and blossomed like a grand symphony. Some people were amazed, others were shocked, and a few nearly spilled their tea reading ideas that challenged everything they thought they knew. Darwin stayed calm, patient, and thoughtful, more interested in truth and understanding than in winning arguments or debates. He continued to study earthworms with surprising enthusiasm, discovering how these tiny creatures quietly shaped the soil, turning the ground beneath us into living earth. He spent hours in his garden watching birds swoop, insects crawl, and flowers open like colorful secrets blooming in the morning sun. Darwin found meaning in the smallest details: how a seed curled, how a feather bent, how a snail left glistening trails across a leaf. He believed that every organism, no matter how small, held clues about the grand story of life, a story written across millions of years. Darwin's gentle curiosity helped the world understand that humans were part of nature, connected to every creature that walked, flew, swam, or wriggled across the planet. He imagined life evolving like a great branching tree, each species growing from common roots and spreading into endless forms. His notebooks overflowed with ideas, sketches, and questions, each scribble a spark in the growing constellation of his discoveries. Darwin believed that nature was not chaotic but beautifully structured, shaped slowly and powerfully by forces that worked like quiet, patient artists. He became known as a man who used observation as his superpower, spotting patterns that others overlooked, decoding mysteries hidden in plain sight. Even in his later years, he wandered through his garden with the same wide-eyed wonder he had as a child chasing beetles across fields. He believed that science was a way to illuminate the world, helping people understand the incredible journey that life had taken. Darwin's work stretched across continents and oceans, linking every creature into a single story of change, survival, and transformation. His ideas inspired generations of scientists to explore jungles, deserts, oceans, and mountains in search of knowledge and new discoveries. He taught people that great ideas often start with simple questions, like why a bird has a particular beak or why a tortoise shell is shaped a certain way. Darwin showed that the smallest observations of feather, a footprint, a fossil could unlock vast truths about the history of life. His gentle, patient approach to discovery proved that you don't need explosions or dramatic experiments to change the world. He encouraged curiosity in everyone, especially young minds, reminding us that wonder is the first step toward understanding. Thanks to Darwin, we now see nature as a beautiful tapestry woven over millions of years by tiny changes repeated over countless generations. His work helped people appreciate the breathtaking diversity of life, from microscopic creatures to giant whales swimming through deep blue oceans. Even today, scientists follow Darwin's path, exploring how species adapt, survive, and evolve in a world that is constantly changing. Children everywhere learn to look at insects, birds, and plants with new eyes, noticing patterns that once seemed invisible. Darwin's legacy continues to inspire anyone who looks at a butterfly, a lizard, or a fossil and asks, "How did this come to be?" He showed that learning about life's past helps us understand its present and protect its future. His discoveries ripple through time like waves spreading across a quiet lake, touching every corner of modern science. Even when he felt shy or uncertain, Darwin trusted in careful observation, gentle thinking, and the steady pursuit of truth. His journey proves that you don't have to be loud or bold to make history. You simply need curiosity, patience, and a heart full of wonder. Charles Darwin remains a shining reminder that the world is full of mysteries waiting to be discovered by anyone brave enough to ask questions and look closely. And today, every time a young explorer kneels in the dirt to watch an ant carry a crumb twice its size, somewhere in history, Darwin is smiling quietly.